What's up guys, Rob the Awesome here, and today we're going to be looking at a secondary that often doesn't get the love that it deserves, yet it's the standard in future technology, the short circuit. This state-of-the-art tool harnesses electricity to give multiple benefits throughout your engineer gameplay, but is infamous for doing terribly low damage. How does one really make use of such an underappreciated utility with the rest of your arsenal? With a multitude of different applications, auto-lock options, and counter-class capabilities, this advantageous tool will give you the edge you need to keep your sentry alive and protect yourself from high-death situations. Let's go! In order to get the most out of this tool and truly value its gameplay mechanics, we need to dive right into this tool's stats and point out what each one is specifically used for. To start, the short circuit fires 5 ammo per shot and as a downside uses your overall metal count for its ammunition. You can fire 7 shots a second and produce 10 damage per shot, which combine to do a total of 70 damage a second, which isn't that bad for cleaning up damage done with your primary or melee weapons. For 200 metal, you can achieve 400 damage in a little less than 6 seconds, but in order to achieve that damage, you need to be in point blank range for the tiny lightning strikes to actually hit. Using metal for ammo can be really risky, especially for a tool that requires you to be super close to the enemy in order to actually register the hit. The risk doesn't really make up for the rewards in this case, especially when you have something like a shotgun or a melee you can use to do contained damage in a shorter time. Moving along, as upsides, the short circuit also has an all-fire attack that uses 10 of your overall metal count per attack to achieve 20 damage in half a second. It's a lot faster to use your primary attack to achieve damage, but the all-fire attack doesn't need to be as accurate and can home in on enemies, so long as you are in distance of doing so. This can be great for when you want to track scouts jumping all around you or spies that try to sneak on by. As great as the all-fire seems to be, it gets better. For an additional 5 metal per projectile, making the total shot 15 metal or more total, you can destroy any projectile that is coming at you or any bombs that may be laying on the ground. It's starting to become a little pricey, but there's no doubt it's a useful tool that can contain rocket and sticky spam on your buildings and can be a godsend when a soldier is hunting you down. There is no reload necessary and there are no random critical hits on the device, so you can spam to your heart's content and hope to Gaben that your tiny damage and big utility will be enough to take down your opponent. Now that we looked into the stats, let's focus on how to effectively use the secondary in combat. Looking over the stats, it's clear to see that one should avoid using the primary fire whenever possible. Don't believe me? Just look at the stats again. It clearly shows the fact that using your primary fire for 5 ammo is a downside, whereas the alt fire is deemed as an upside. Case and point. I mean, sure, if an enemy is super low on HP, this tool can be wonderful for finishing them off. If your shotgun is out of ammo, or if you forgot a melee weapon exists. In short, one should really avoid using the primary function with this contraption. The alt-fire is better for accurately getting damage out, and overall though, it's a trap set to punish you, wasting precious metal on crappy damage you could be using for more important things. So, if you shouldn't be using the main damage mechanic, what else is it good for? Throughout this entire video, I've restrained myself from using the word weapon, because the short circuit really isn't a weapon, but a tool. A tool made to make life easier and counter specific aspects that are troubling you in your everyday engineer life. As mentioned before, the alt-fire is deemed as an upside. Using the same logic as last time, we can assume that you should be using this property to provide yourself with all the benefits this gizmo has to offer. There are 2 redeeming factors with the alt-fire that makes your life a whole lot easier. The tracking shot and the removal of projectiles and bombs. Each can be used to provide offensive and defensive help for you and your team. We'll start with the tracking shot. If you're looking around the general area, within close proximity of course, the shot will automatically attach itself to the nearest opponent. But so what? It does 20 damage a shot and takes half a second to fire each shot. 40 damage a second? What's so great about that? Sure, the damage may not be the greatest thing in the world, but it's not about the damage that you should be focusing on, but rather the tracking capabilities this tool wields instead. The damage may not be devastating enough to fend off against classes that can and will fight back. It's a finisher or a cleanup tool if anything in those regards. But what if an enemy is in a state of which he can't fight back? Like a spy trying to be unseen to the human eyes. The tracking shot is great for locating spies when they are invisible. As long as you're in the vicinity, you can spam the alt-fire to consistently see the path the spy is taking, revealing his location for your team to destroy him, and all while punishing him for 40 damage a second for each second he stays cloaked. The tracking shot is even great for spy checking disguises. Trading in 10 metal for a tracking shot that leads onto a disguised spy that might be a little suspicious is definitely worth it to protect your team and your nest from danger, especially when you save the need to waste primary bullets on potentially nothing at all. With this gadget around, the invisibility that gives the spy the edge is now a big downside if he is consistently being tracked down with good damage over time. The tracking shot is a huge factor in countering spies that might be getting away. This is beneficial for a more offensive style of play, but can be useful when defending if a spy tends to stick around the sentry nest instead of running all the way back. It's certainly a nice touch. Countering spies is important for both you and your team, but there's still one more mechanic with the alt fire that is sure to help out in every regard. On top of the alt fire being a tracking shot, you have the ability to destroy any and all projectiles for an additional 5 metal per projectile. Though this can be pretty pricey, it's inevitably a useful benefit that can stop demos and soldiers from constantly spamming your sentry and overall destroying your entire nest. When next to a dispenser, the ammo consumption is immediately countered and you can go all out on stopping blast classes from easily taking down your buildings. A Wrangler can definitely stall for time, but with this baby you can counter soldiers, demos, and spies all at the same time with ease. But is defending a nest all this is really useful for? I mentioned offensive uses as well, but with such a low damage output, how can you go man-to-man with a soldier or demo in head-to-head combat? It takes half a second between each alt fire shot. It takes longer for each rocket or grenade to leave the enemy's weapon. Consider the following: if you went willy-nilly at a soldier or a demo with a shotgun and just tried to take him out, what are the chances of winning the fight? If you don't have a gunslinger, the chances of a soldier or a demo winning with 1 or 2 projectiles are very high. But what if he didn't do a single bit of damage to you? All you have to do with the short circuit is memorize the timing between each rocket launcher shot, kind of like an air blast, and fire the moment the rocket or grenade is released. If you are in a close enough proximity, you take away the rocket or grenade and do 20 damage per shot. By the time he fires all 4 rockets or grenades from his clip, he's empty and 80 health shorter. With an empty clip, you can switch to your shotgun and finish him off with a quick 2-tap. Or if you aren't confident with that, you can keep triumphantly knocking his rockets or grenades out of fruition and lower his health to the point where your shotgun can do the rest. It's a rather odd tactic, but if done correctly, you can completely shut down a soldier or demo in their tracks. They'll either need to switch to their secondary, in which you actually have a chance now in the fight, or they run away, giving you some good pot shots to ultimately finish them off. The short circuit takes away the mechanics that are most important to the spy, the soldier, and the demo, and makes it so that you have the ultimate say on the outcome of the battle. This is a super useful secondary, but besides spies, soldiers, and demos, what else does it stop? Well, that's just the thing. Where the Wrangler can hold off against bullet classes and a tiny bit on blast classes and spies, the short circuit is quite the opposite, holding off against blast classes and spies and a tiny bit on bullet classes. It's a trade-off that is ultimately situational, and in the long run, a majority of people don't really know how to properly utilize the short circuit like they can the Wrangler. The short circuit takes a lot of execution and time to perfect, whereas the Wrangler is a simple point-and-click instant bubble shield that does the work for you. And at the end of the day, the short circuit isn't the most reliable tool. Sometimes soldiers, demos, and spies can be unpredictable and give you a hard time in utilizing the alt fire this gauntlet provides. Engineer secondaries are ultimately situational. You'll need to find the time and place to make the short circuit shine. And when the enemy team is full of spies, soldiers, and demos, which a ton of pubs are anyways, the magnificent power of the future will be there to stop the clutter of spam that fills up our servers every day of the week. The short circuit is fantastic in the right circumstances and can be the deciding factor in life or death situations. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you like these types of videos, leave a like and subscribe. Maybe even tell me what weapon I should review for next time. Remember to be awesome, stay awesome, and to have an awesome day. I'm Rob the Awesome, and I'll see you guys later. Ciao for now.
Motherfucker, I'm awesome. No, you're not, dude. Don't lie. I'm awesome. I'm driving around in my mom's ride. I'm awesome. A quarter of my life gone by, and I met all my friends online. Motherfucker, I'm awesome. I will run away from a brawl. I'm awesome. There's no voicemail, nobody calls. I'm awesome. I can't afford to buy 8 balls, and I talk to myself on my Facebook wall. You know my pants sag low.